All right, good morning, retailers. My name is Scott Morris. I am the Director of Business Development for Gaming for GTS Distribution, which is one of the longest titles in the world, but basically means I'm the board game guy. I really do appreciate everybody joining us today. We're going to have a really good conversation with Clay Ross, who is the owner and president of Capstone Games. We have grown tremendously with Capstone in the last year and done really, really well. Capstone is a company that has really, in the last couple of years, kind of found its place in the market, so to speak. They know who they are, they know what they're making, and they're making really, really good things. One of my personal favorite games of theirs is Maracaibo, which was probably one of, if not the best game of last year, 2019. Just me and myself playing that game, I've probably done it almost 12 times in the last 2 months, so it's pretty crazy how much we play that game, but it's really, really good stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about new releases coming up. We're going to talk about maybe some things you did not know were happening with Capstone and some of their partners and some of the games they're bringing in. We're also going to talk about promos, which are a big part of what Capstone is doing for retail as well. But I don't want to steal all the thunder, so I will let Clay give all the good details to you. In the meantime, though, if you have questions, like I always say, everything is on the table, pardon the pun. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions you like. If you're on a computer, you just hover over your video and there's a little chat bubble in the bottom. If you're on a phone or on a tablet, there should be a little menu button and then you can pull up the chat window through that. It's as simple as either sending a message to all the panelists, which are myself and Clay, or you can send a message to all the panelists and attendees so the other retailers will see the question as well. But as always, Clay, you don't have to worry about messing around with that. I'll manage that and kind of work those questions in as they come up. You're welcome to, of course, but just I would rather you focus on all the good stuff you got to talk about. So. Awesome. With that, I'm going to kick it over to you, Clay, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us and appreciate the time.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me. Thank you all for coming, and I'm excited to show you some of our newest releases and just give you a little overview of Capstone Games and where we came from. So, yeah, before I get started, I started Capstone in 2015, and we've been growing just exponentially year over year. And like Scott said, our sales this year have just been through the roof with GTS, and even last year was a great year as well. But I just hired my sister, Jillian Ross, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. She just had an emergency last night. She's got 2 cats, and they just, I don't know, they're just throwing up and doing all kinds of weird stuff. So she's the vet with them right now. But all's good. But yeah, next time we do this, she'll definitely be a part of it. And if we go to any conventions in the next 10 years, whenever they open back up, we'll definitely meet up and all that stuff. So
I hope they're open in the next 10 years. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I just wanted to share a couple things, and like Scott said, please just pop in a chat or whatever, and Scott will interrupt me, and you know, any questions or whatever, just feel free. We're open book here, so anything you need to know, just let me know. So without further ado, let's get started. Just want to make sure everybody can see this. Is my slide sharing and everything?
Yes, that's coming through perfect.
Okay, great. All right, so yeah, my contact is clay@capstone-games.com. Jill, my sister, who's going to be doing sales and marketing, basically in tandem with me, is jill@capstone-games.com. Just another good resource for you to have there. Want to start off with Capstone and what it is. And in 2015, I started the business with a single mission, and it's basically just to get people back to the table, socializing face to face while having a good time, playing some games, just essentially removing that technology from your life because you're in front of it every day. So we feature high quality components in all of our games. I think one of my best values is with Capstone, this creates tangible value for customers. You're actually going to get something that's of value, and you can feel it and touch it as you're playing with the game. Another thing we have going is a strong brand image over the last 5 years. We offer a consistent class of product that all of our customers can expect from us. Whenever we put out a release or some kind of new announcement, people know what kind of game they're going to get, and they know the quality behind it. So we're very fortunate to have that brand image. So there's 2 things I want to talk about with retail, and we're providing 2, I like to classify it as 2 different types of content. You've got digital content, and then you've got physical content, and what we're trying to do to work together. And these are just some things that we've recently implemented, and we're going to continue doing going forward. The first one on this digital content side is we're putting QR codes on the back of our game boxes. So you got Renature, Curious Cargo, and then Ride the Rails over here. And you can see these QR codes. So when a customer's in your store and they're looking at the back of the box, it's intriguing, they see that picture. Unfortunately, that picture is kind of limited in what it's going to be able to show. So you scan this QR code and it's going to jump you over to this 60-second overview video that we're doing with all of our games going forward. For New York Zoo, I'm going to play this.
From legendary designer Uwe Rosenberg comes a game full of exciting attractions and exotic animals. Puzzle out the best layout for your zoo and breed enough animals for your adoring patrons. This is New York Zoo. The goal is simple. Fill out your plot of land with attractions and animal enclosures before your opponents in order to create the best zoo in all of New York. Getting there will take clever planning and expert timing. On your turn, move the elephant token to select a new enclosure or animal to add to your zoo. Turn, twist, and flip your enclosure to fit your zoo. Plan carefully to take advantage of the available space and unique shapes. Add animals to your enclosures or store them in the barn for later. Crossing a breeding zone on the action strip will increase the population of your critters. Fill up an enclosure and be rewarded with an attraction to fill in the gaps. Enjoy the wooden animal tokens that bring the game to life. Double-sided player boards allow you to enjoy the game whether you're playing alone or with 4 other players. Grab your cameras, it's time to visit New York Zoo.
So yeah, I think that video played through okay.
It came through great on my side. Yeah, so I hope it came through on everyone else's side well. I love the music. It's kind of like, do, 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 do.
Yeah, it gets you in that little, that mood. And this video, it covers on all the highlighted featured selling points and everything. And it also shows you what's in the box and how they move and what you're going to kind of be doing. And so I really think there's going to be a lot of value with this. And these are all available on YouTube as well. Retailers, if you've got a storefront that has a monitor or whatever, you can stream these videos or even put it on your website. They're all free to use. We have the raw data files as well. So just, we're here to give you the tools to make you as successful as possible.
It's interesting too. I was having a conversation with a retailer over the weekend, and he was talking about the frustration of someone comes to the store, especially nowadays when some people are allowed to have store, people come in the store and some people are not, but having the frustration of someone walking in a store, picking up a game, pulling out their phone and immediately going to Amazon. And he made the comment of, he said, there's a couple of companies like you and a couple others that are doing this QR code on the back, which almost becomes the anti-Amazon link, where they see, you flip over the game, you're looking at it, you pull out your phone, and your brain just naturally says, oh, I need to scan that QR code. And it completely stops the consumer from going to Amazon. They click on that QR code, they see that video, and then they're right there in the store and they end up buying. So it was interesting because he's trying to do some study around the sales of products that have a QR code on the back that take them to something like this, whether it's a video or whether it's a rule book or anything like that, and the sales of those versus the sales that are kind of lost opportunities, so to speak, of people picking up the back of the box and looking at something else on their phone. So I think it's a really simple asset, but it's a great asset and a great tool to help from a retail perspective.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder what I can believe that psychology too, because you're attached to the video, and once that video plays, you just become so more interested in the game. You're like, I'm not going to leave with it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's cool.
And your videos are well produced. The good voice quality, good video quality. You can tell it's not just a guy and a camera and a ring light. It's much more than that, which is awesome.
This is Alex Singh. He's got a YouTube channel of his own, and he's been helping us out.
I know Alex. Yeah, it's good.
Really cool guy. So
Derek has a question. Julio says the game needs to be on my library, so that's good. Derek Furman has a question. He says, does Capstone have a centralized online source for retailers to download digital marketing assets like these, or logos, or product images, or anything like that?
That is a very good question. Let's take a look at this very next page.
That's a good segue.
Yeah. This link at the very bottom, this bit.ly/capstone assets, will take you to our Google Drive folder. We just started doing this a couple weeks ago, and we're importing all of our data together in a nice format, broken down by the game's name. So there will be a bunch of folders in there with the names of the games, and once you click on that, then you have different videos, images, and sales sheets, any awards symbol like PNG images and stuff like that, all available to you. A lot of the games as well with the videos. Alex is also a professional photographer, and he's like the background of all these slides on this presentation are those photos that he's taken, and we've uploaded those on our website as well. So these are also available for you if it helps sell the game and present it well. And that's the goal, is to make it appealing when you look at these pictures and get your interest in what the game, what's going on in the game, and maybe like this Crystal Palace background is set in the 1800s. Maybe that's the theme you really like, and you want to look more into it. So.
Yeah, I think that's helpful for retailers, because a lot of them nowadays, it's so quick and easy, whether you're using like, GIMP or Photoshop or whatever you may be, accessible to. It's really easy to take an image and then add their logo on top of it, and just something simple like, pre-order by this Friday, or available now, or anything like that. I know a lot of retailers that take the time to kind of make their own banners or their own ads, so to speak, for Twitter or for Facebook. So just having those kind of modular assets, I guess is the way to say it, so that they can kind of play with them as they need to, is a really big thing.
Absolutely. And I do want to put this out there for all the retailers that are listening. With Jillian, she's got a marketing background where she can create all kinds of graphic design. So if there's a specific banner size you have, we can create that for you. And that's a service that we would do in-house for free. So the goal of this presentation is not to just show you all of our new stuff. It's to work together, and basically we want to give you all the tools we can give you to sell our products and make your return on investment. So if there's something specific that you would like us to do marketing wise, we're all ears. Definitely put it over us, and we'll get it done for you. So one final thing on this slide. We have videos from the community. We're really close with Watch It Play, Dice Tower, Man vs. Meeple, Heavy Cardboard, pretty much all the major reviewers, Rado. Everybody's different. Everybody likes their specific channels, and we believe we have a nice breadth of variety to offer on our channels. So if you Google a game by us, chances are you're going to find it from one of these people. So that's the digital content. I can't stress enough. Let's highlight this bit.ly/capstone assets. That's an important link that you just definitely want to keep bookmarked. It'll be continually updated as we put new releases out there. So now that's the digital content. On the physical side, this is something we're really trying to ramp up on as well with Jill coming on board. I want to do more of this kind of stuff. But we did our display case for Stick'em. This is our card game that we were going to release at Origins this year. It's a great trick-taking game. It came out in 1993 in Germany, and it's one of the most popular German trick-taking card games out there. We got the rights to it and made it available here. I'm a big fan of euchre, and this kind of has like a reverse euchre feel to it. But it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so we've got a displays case for that, and it holds 10 units of it. It's got a friendly reminder when you sell the last unit to make sure you reorder that. Hopefully they sold really well. But
It's going to sound silly, but you'd be surprised how many publishers we work with that have countertop displays like this and don't do something simple like that, that just put the UPC and the code on the box to remind people, hey, it's time to reorder. It's such a missed opportunity by so many people, and yet it's so simple, right? It's a really easy thing.
help them out.
Norman has a question, and this is an interesting one. You guys have made promos available for Watergate, which is what we're doing right now with the restocks, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in a little bit. He wants to know if there's any way that they can get copies of the promos for the copies they currently have in stock. So things that they may have already bought or just recently bought before the promos were announced.
Yeah, if he could send me an email, I'll get those out today.
Okay. I'll make sure to put your email in the chat again so people can get a hold of that.
Play at capstone-games.com. So another thing we're doing with the physical content is with our games, we're trying to have more pre-order bonuses where you buy in early and get a brand new game. And it's going to come with a bunch of free stuff with it to help incentivize the sale with the end consumer. We believe really strongly that our games are of a high class. We've done very well over the last couple of years with our releases, and we're putting our money where our mouth is with all these exclusives for retailers. So some of the games it doesn't fit, like Renature is one of them. This is our upcoming release I'll talk about in a minute, but there wasn't really anything we could do to add value to the game, just without breaking it or anything like that. So we talked about Watergate just momentarily. This should be coming in to our warehouse this Wednesday, and we've got a restock release date of October 15th. That's when it will hit your shelf to be able to sell to consumers. That's the goal, because as soon as we pull this in off the container, we're turning right around and shipping it out. We're based in Cincinnati, Ohio. Probably should have covered this at the very beginning, but Cincinnati is pretty central to the entire United States with shipping. We've got very aggressive freight rates, so we're able to get it to pretty much any location in a relatively short period of time. So this restock release for Watergate, your initial order on the restock will come with all these promo cards for free. It just adds a little bit more depth to the game.
So a good thing to point out is with the environment that we're all kind of in, I know a lot of people are having problems getting larger game groups together. Even 4 people is sometimes hard. This is, without a doubt, one of the best 2-player games on the market, if not the best 2-player game on the market. It is so good and so tight and so back and forth and kind of ebb and flow kind of thing. Even if you don't like the kind of thematic and the political piece of it or anything like that. I'll give you an example. My wife could probably care less about the Watergate period or Nixon or anything happening at that time frame. And we played this game and we got done. She goes, "This is wicked good. We got to do it again." Like it was immediate. We wanted to play again, which is really awesome. And I think that's a big thing, right? There's a lot of themes that may attract people or put people off, but when there's a good game and it shines through and it makes for a fun experience, that's phenomenal. But then you add on top of that layer of it's kind of harder for people to get together, and there are probably a lot of people who are looking for that 1-player, 2-player kind of thing that they can do with their spouse or their partner. This is a great option for it, and it's just a super fun game.
Yeah, it's been a smash hit for us. This has been our bestseller period.
Yeah.
We've gone through so many print runs, so we'll hopefully have enough stock to last us more than 2 months.
So I have to ask this question, and it's kind of funny. I'm going to let Julio know this. I kind of have an internal game now that I play when I get on the webinars that nobody knows about called How Long Till Julio Asks About LATAM. So Julio has done a great job of being part of a lot of our webinars, and I know one of his major questions is how can he get your games in Latin America? So I know today, Clay, we're distributing your games in the U.S. Do you have a Latin American distributor that he can contact, or are you okay with him purchasing those games through us if he needs to?
You are totally fine doing that. I mean, that's what distribution's for. And so if you guys are able to supply it, absolutely.
Perfect. Well, there you go, Julio. Easy answer.
Yeah. Yeah, Watergate's great, especially with the current political atmosphere. You do have a lot of people that are into that theme right now, and this is like the perfect time for it as well. They came out at Gen Con last year, and we're on our 5th print run, so it's crazy. So the final piece of news before we get into our big 4 releases, we've been partnering with a company out of Germany called Feuerland, and you'll probably know them from Gaia Project, Terra Mystica, A Feast for Odin. We just did Crystal Palace, Fuji, and our upcoming release, New York Zoo, with them. And starting at Essen Spiel last year, Frank approached me and said, I want to transition Terra Mystica and Gaia Project to you because we're doing such a good job and the relationship's been really strong. I couldn't be happier about this. I mean, this is huge news for us. We're very, very excited about it. Gaia Project is currently ranked number 8 on Board Game Geek, and Terra Mystica is number 15. These are staples in any heavy gamers collection. Terra Mystica has been around for a couple years now, and one of the things we noticed when we were transitioning this license to Capstone were the availability issues we found were pretty prevalent out there. And that's one of our goals with this, is to make this game, both of these games, continually available and not have any kind of short stockage situation. So starting October 22nd, Gaia Project, that's going to be the retail release for this game. We should be getting this product at the end of this week or early next week, just in time to turn it around and ship it out to GTS so that they can send it to you and have it on the shelf by October 22nd. Terra Mystica is coming in November 18th for a retail release. There is 3 expansions for Terra Mystica. You're probably familiar with Fire and Ice. Merchants of the Seas is the second one, and that just came out at Essen last year. And there's a mini expansion. It's a little punch board sheet of different little tokens and stuff for the game. But all 3 of those expansions are currently available now. GTS has them and everything. And you might be asking, well, what's the difference between the Z-Man version that these expansions are printed on and the Capstone Games version of Terra Mystica? And there's absolutely no difference. It's literally the logo on the box on the little corner over there. Instead of Z-Man, it's going to say Capstone Games now. So they're 100% compatible across the brands. So.
And I'd like to jump in and just let the retailers know these are available for pre-order right now. So if you are looking to have these for the holidays, we talked a little bit about it with our sales team. Clay actually had a chance to talk to our sales team on Friday. But the holiday season is going to be interesting because apart from the 50-50 split of whoever you talk to, one person tells you it's going to be the best holiday season ever. Another person will tell you it's going to be the worst holiday season ever. I think the answer usually lies in the middle when you have that, too much of a disparity between the two things. So I'm very hopeful for what the holiday season is going to bring. But I think that as we get closer to the holiday season, the 2 big alpha gamer shows, the Essen and BGG Con, are completely canceled, and they're not going to have them, of course. They'll do them online, and you'll be able to, see the games online and things like that. But those alpha gamers, that's like their time. That's their itch. If you've never been to BGG before, it is super heavy alpha gamer, like this is the type of game that people want, right? I mean, they're playing lighter games like Stick'em, but they're mostly in between the bigger things that they're playing. And the fact that these games are so big in terms of like number 8 and number 15 on BGG, that's a pretty amazing move for Feuerland to come in with Capstone Games, because that shows that they believe in what Capstone has built from their brand in the US as being someone who has these types of games and knows, like Clay said earlier, what type of game you're going to get when you look at that logo for Capstone. So that's a really big shift. So if you have things that you're looking at, alpha gamers coming in your store, or holiday things or things like that, these are 2 great ones to have in terms of the holidays on the shelf. We do have them, like I said, available for pre-order right now. And like Clay said, they're in Ohio, so it's super easy to, add things onto stuff. So if you have missed the order deadline for those, feel free to, contact your sales rep, let me know, we'll get you set up and everything will be good to go. But these are 2 pretty amazing games.
Yeah, they're staples, absolutely. So I'm really stoked about those. I cannot wait to get them back into the market. So let's talk about our big 4 releases. And we're calling them the big 4 because there's 4 of them, and last year we had 4. But you're going to notice, if you're familiar with our brands from last year, we had Maracaibo, Bus, Cooper Island, and Crystal Palace. Big, heavy, chunky Euro style games that they're like 2 hours plus in length of play. We're not doing that this year because there's, like Scott said, there's no in-person conventions. Learning these big chunky games on Tabletop Simulator is not the best. You want to do it with people at a table where you can interact and everything like that. So these are more accessible, wider player counts, shorter play time, minimal rules. I think that's a lot of benefits there, especially in this current market. So let's get started. The first one is New York Zoo, and we're going to do these in order of retail release date, which you're going to see right below the title. So October 28th is the retail release for New York Zoo. These are coming in probably the end of this week. But this is a 1 to 5 player game from Uwe Rosenberg. It's 45 minutes in length, and what you're doing is building your own zoo, as we saw in that video a couple minutes ago. This is a great $39.95 MSRP, and all the pre-order bonus for this is there's a custom wooden elephant that'll come with the game. It's painted and everything. It's really cool. It's the main token that you're going to use. Every player will interact with this, so it's one of the most important pieces in the game. But it's a great polyomino game from Uwe Rosenberg for families that want a little bit more meat out of their games, and it only plays in 45 minutes. I'm really excited about that too, because it's our first Uwe Rosenberg title. The second game we've got is Curious Cargo. There's been a lot of marketing and information out there on this. This is coming out November 4th. This is a 2-player only game, and it's 30 to 60 minutes at a retail price of $34.95. This is the same box size as Watergate, if you're familiar with that. It's a small square box. But this one comes from Ryan Courtney. This is the designer of our big hit last year, Pipeline, our first in-house developed game. This is our second in-house developed game. People loved Pipeline last year. For those unfamiliar, you've got this rectangle tile with a couple different pipes on it that you're going to use to build your own tableau of these connected lines of the same color, but they all interweave together. And then there's a economic aspect to the game with a lot of math involved. And while people really like the game, a lot of casual gamers really just wanted to focus on the tile laying element with the pipes. And so this is where Curious Cargo was born. And we also made it a much more friendly theme with this exotic research laboratory style theme going on. Additionally, this game has 2 game modes. You've got a 2-color version and a 3-color version. And the 3-color version is just insane. It's super advanced. It's really difficult. And we make that clear in the rule book. You know, just play the 2-color version. That's all that's discussed. And at the very end, you see, oh, there's a 3-color version included. So there's some nice variability there for you to choose on how you want to play the game. In addition, you're building on a player board, and there's 6 unique player boards that come in the game for each player. And we don't skimp around on components. Everything's premium here. We've got a PVC player board, screen printed wooden pieces, all kinds of cool stuff. And now the pre-order bonus for this is just over the top. You're going to get 4 extra promo player boards. That's per person. And also a special bus tile and card to pay homage to the game Bus from last year. That's been awesome to do as well. But so this pre-order bonus is going to give you a total of 10 player boards per player, including the 6 in the base game. That's a ton of variability there, especially you can choose between playing with 2 colors or 3 colors in your game mode. So lots in that package for $34.95.
Julio made a comment and he said Pipeline is great. It is. Pipeline, in my opinion, is one of the most actual underrated games of the most recent years. It did extremely well, but there are still people I know that are discovering it today and learning about it, and it's phenomenal. And I think that this is a great, I guess, sidekick is the easiest way to describe it to the main game, right? And one of the things that Clay and Jill had told me about was, you know, there's players who play Pipeline and they love the complexity and they love all the different mechanisms in it. But sometimes you just want to play with the tiles and make it a little simpler and get those pipelines routed together. And that's what Curious Cargo is offering, which is really cool. The other thing that I wanted to bring up and let retailers know about, and this is going to seem like a really small, weird change, but it's something that I think is really going to help long term. In the past, and a lot of other distributors kind of suffer from this as well, in the past, whenever a publisher has made a promo item, it's generally a case of the promo item gets shipped to our warehouses, and then either the sales reps need to remember to put them on the orders, or the warehouse workers need to remember to put them into the box. And there's always kind of a little bit of a disconnect, right? We've had some situations where it's just been a case of like, we've gotten like 1,000 promos, and then after everything has been shipped out for pre-orders, we end up with like 25 still sitting around that didn't get attached correctly. With our new ERP system, most of you know we put a new ERP system in at GTS back in July. There's a really cool feature that allows us to tag the promo items with the actual games themselves and force them onto an order. So if you pre-order Curious Cargo today, the order will automatically get those pre-order bonuses put on there. So you don't have to worry about your sales rep forgetting or you forgetting or anything like that, which is a really, really important thing. That way you don't have to chase down multiple SKUs too. You don't have to be like, oh, what's the SKU for the Curious Cargo promo or anything like that. So it seems like a small thing, but it's something that I think is really going to help with these promos, make it easier for you guys as retailers to receive them and not have to hunt them down or make sure they're on your order or anything like that. And also ultimately help your consumers, right? Be able to get those products and make it something that, is a differentiator for you guys being able to sell the games, which is really cool.
I like that new ERP system that you guys put in. That's pretty smart.
So a couple of questions did come in. Derek says, if the elephant is a pre-order promo, we'll replace it later on.
It's just not going to be available, period. There is an elephant in the game. This is just a little bit more jazzed up version of it.
Does it have jazz trunk or something like that? Or
a lot of glitter on there and some nice, some nice coloring and everything instead of the plain, boring gray.
Sundance Cards had a good question. With Cargo, Curious Cargo, do we have to order by the case or can we get it by the unit and still get the promos? I know the answer to that, but I'll let you answer that.
You do not have to order by the case. It's just, for each copy you order, you're going to get a separate thing of promos for each copy.
Yep. So. Hopefully that's as easy as possible for you.
Yeah, this game's been getting a lot of attention lately too, so I'm stoked for this one. Another exciting one is Renature, and we're partnering with Deep Print Games out of Germany on this one. Now, Deep Print, for those of you unfamiliar, is a brand new publishing house, and I like to think of them as kind of like the all-star team of Germans over there, because you've got a couple people from Frosted Games who did Watergate and Cooper Island. You've got Pegasus Spiel, a couple people from there. That's a major publisher in Germany. And then you have Peter Eggert from Eggert Spiel, who you know probably from Great Western Trail, Mombasa, all the great games Eggert's done over the years. And they formed this team called Deep Print Games, and this is their first release. So you've got all these just years of experience. It's just not experience. I mean, this is high quality people there that are working to bring together these new games. And so Renature is from designer Wolfgang Kramer and Mikhail Kiesling. This is a legendary design duo that have done many games since the 1990s together. You'll probably know Kiesling from Azul. Yeah, I mean, just the design process that these two work together have been truly amazing. This is a 2 to 4 player game in about 60 minutes, and it's a it's $49.95, so $50. And what's really cool about this is it takes the game dominoes, and it uses that by using animals. Every single domino is unique in the game, and you're going to be basically repopulating this polluted valley with animals and with your own trees. You're going to reforest it, but it's an area control game, and it can be very aggressive, and it's just real nice and subtle when you're playing the game, on when you're placing your pieces on the game board. One of the cool things with this is coinciding with the theme. This is made from all renewable resources. There is zero plastic in the game box. The bags that hold your wooden pieces and everything, they're all linen bags. There's a couple cardboard pieces, and everything else is wood. There is a ton of wooden pieces in this game. So that's a pretty cool value for what you're getting in this game. And this retail release is November 25th. There's already 8 language partners for this game. What I mean by that is English would be one. So you got German, Polish, Spanish, French, Korean, Chinese. If I haven't said German, German's obviously coming out. But yeah, there's a ton of people backing this game right out of the gate. So pretty exciting.
So Derek added a comment real quick. He says, as a small rural shop in North Carolina, at first I read that as New York City, and I'm like, that's not where Derek's shop is. Why is he saying New York City? But he says, as a small shop in rural North Carolina, thank you very much in capital letters for not making multiple copy hoops to qualify for the promos. So that's good feedback.
Oh, cool. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Just trying to make it easy on everybody and give everybody the same opportunities. All right. So the 4th game that we're releasing in the 4th quarter is CloudAge. This is Alexander Pfister's latest innovative design. Alexander Pfister's made Great Western Trail, Isle of Skye, Oh My Goods, and he did Maracaibo last year with us, and that's been a phenomenal hit. I think Maracaibo has been now considered one of probably his best heavy game design. CloudAge isn't a very heavy game like Maracaibo or Great Western Trail. It's more on the lines of, I would say, a little bit more advanced than Isle of Skye, if you're familiar with that. And it plays 1 to 5 players in 75 minutes. Now, there's 2 really cool things about this game. I'll talk about the innovative system that he's created. This card sleeving mechanism is what we're calling it. So the theme of this game is there's an apocalypse that happened, and there's a bunch of clouds and everything. The world's been kind of destroyed, and you're now floating in an airship, and which is going to be your player board that you can upgrade and do some cool stuff with your own personal airship. But if you can think of it thematically, you're flying above the landscape and you're looking down, but it's all cloudy. You can only see a couple things, and that's represented by these card sleeves with different cards in them. And you're going to be, as a group, you're going to be choosing where you want to go speculate for resources. And once everybody chooses to go, there's more to it with that decision. But once you've determined that, you're going to pull the card out of the sleeve and reveal what is actually down on the surface. And you might find some cool stuff like a small little village that you can interact with people there, or you might find like a little rare treasure chest style thing that'll give you a bonus. Stuff like that. It's a really cool system that's going to really change how resource gathering is kind of done in these games. And the second piece is, if you're familiar with Maracaibo, it had a campaign system, and this is also going to have a campaign system. It's a non-destructive campaign, so you're not going to be ripping cards up, writing on the game board, none of that. And it is also going to introduce new game elements as you progress through this campaign. What's really cool is frequently in this campaign, you're going to come to a decision tree, essentially. Like you've got a fork in the road. Do you want to go left? Do you want to go right? Or do you want to take the red pill? Do you want to take the blue pill? Whatever. And what you do is going to determine what happens in that campaign and the stories that you'll see. So you're going to help guide the story, essentially. So there's also, you don't have to play the campaign. There's 3 different game modes if you want to play just, vanilla CloudAge with, 3 different predetermined setups. You're good to go there. So a lot to offer. It's a $60 game, and this will be available December 10th. We are the demand has been insane for this game. The cover is beautiful. It reminds me of Mad Max Fury Road, if you're familiar with the movie. Just a nice color palette, and the whole game presentation is going to have that same theme. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Pfister just makes good games. I mean, there's just no 2 ways about it, right? I've yet to play a game of Pfister's design that is just average. They're all really, really, really good. I think it's interesting too, because for a long time there's been this legacy trend, and it's been people jumping on the legacy bandwagon of, oh, we have to have something that's legacy, but it's always been destructive. and it's always had some part throughout something, even if it's just one thing. The most classic, of course, is Pandemic and the ripping up of the card and like actually having to destroy the card. I remember sitting there the first time we played it, and my friend looked at me and he's like, I just can't do it. Like, I just can't do it. Like, I paid money for this. Why do I want to destroy it? So it was really funny, but I love the non-destructive piece of it. And one of the things like with Maracaibo, which I'm sure elements of this are going to be kind of incorporated a bit into CloudAge, but the campaign structure of Maracaibo is such that if you want to play the campaign, you can dive headfirst and just play like game after game after game of the campaign and get this amazing story of like, you know, this plague happening in the Caribbean and the doctor and all these different things that happen with it. Or you can just take the items that are part of the campaign and throw it into the base game and play a regular game of it, which makes it so modular and so easy, because you're going to have people that buy it that want to do like what I've done, where you want to play 10, 12, 14 times. And then you're going to have people that buy it and just want to play maybe once or twice, and they're going to want to incorporate those things in without it being complex. So that non-destructive campaign system, I think you should trademark that, because it may become something that more people like dive into, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with Maracaibo. The way they do it in that game is you have these tiles that correlate to the cards, and it'll say like pull out tile L7 and place it on here, and it just changes that entire location to maybe there was a big city there. Now all of a sudden something happened, and that city is just that doesn't exist anymore, or and you know maybe something on like the opposite happens. So what Alex is doing with this is pretty cool. So I'm excited. But that's pretty much it for our fourth quarter releases. And before I let y'all go, I have one more surprise. This is coming in April 2021. We're talking about it now because we want to assess the demand for this product ahead of time, so we don't have a situation where we underprinted. But we are going to be bringing back Glass Road. For those familiar, this is, I think 2013 is when this came out. It's an Uwe Rosenberg game from Feuerland as well. We're going to print this game in December. At the end of December is when we're going to start. So we've got till then, about 60 days or so, to generate what kind of demand is out there. And that would give us some information to make sure we do not underprint this game. I have an idea of where it's at, but I want to have the data to back that up. So real quick, I'll just run through these bullet points on what Glass Road is if you're not familiar with it. This is a 1 to 4 player game, 60 minutes. This is a classic Uwe Rosenberg title with some really cool rondel wheels that you have for your resources. You have 2 of them, and each player has their own individual that they're going to be using. You're making glass and you're making bricks on these wheels, and it's really neat how it works. And it's super simple too. It's not anything complex. But you're clearing your own personal player board's land. You're going to be hiring people and building buildings on there to make your own trade empire. This is the same high quality printing as in years past. However, we are reducing the MSRP. This is only a $60 game now. It was much more, I believe, when it was back in 2013 and 2014. We talked about pre-order bonuses. I got some for you. So all of the existing promos out there, they're listed here, are going to come with the with that initial order. The Harlequin card, it's another character you can play in the game, and then all these different buildings, very thematic, like Oktoberfest and the Christmas market. It's some pretty cool stuff. So again, this is coming in April 2021. We're going to start printing in December. So if we can get some kind of information on that from y'all, that would be really appreciative. And
yeah, Derek just asked, is Glass Road available to order on GTS's site? It is. Actually, as of Friday, when Clay and I were talking with the sales reps, I noticed that our website actually had all of the Feuerland games under Feuerland and not under Capstone. So we went through and did that change over the weekend. So if you're not seeing it, it may just be a time shift thing to get it all showing up. But it is available. It's going to be available for pre-order like we were just talking about. So it's a great opportunity being so far in advance. We've had a couple of publishers do that this year where they're talking about games that are 9, 10, 11 months out because they want to make sure to hit the demand for you guys. And I think that that's been a really important thing because without trying to knock any competitors or anything else. As Clay mentioned, there's been some stock issues with some of the games in the past. So, trying to get past that. Uwe Rosenberg is, he does amazing games. He's one of the more prolific designers in the industry right now. This is actually my personal favorite design of his because it's so different. It's not like a lot of his other games. A lot of times, this is going to sound bad, and I don't mean it to sound bad, but a lot of times some designers, especially really successful designers, can fall into a trap of taking mechanisms and taking designs from game A and putting it into game B, making it feel familiar, but making it different, which is all good. I mean, that's kind of the iteration of design. But with Glass Road, I remember the first time I sat down with it, I was in this mode of, okay, this is going to be super heavy, super thinky, super crazy. And we started playing and I'm like, wait a minute, this is nowhere near the complexity that I'm used to from Uwe Rosenberg, right? This is actually very, very simple and straightforward. But those rondels, there's 2 rondels you have to manage, and they're just super, super cool and super, super unique. So I'm really excited to see this game coming back. And it's really cool to be able to have those pre-order bonuses too, because some of those were not easy to get when it first came out in 2013. Some of those were like, you had to either go to Essen, or you had to hunt somebody down that went to Essen, or you had to like trade away your firstborn or something like that. I mean, it was pretty tough stuff. So it was pretty cool. So Sean Wainwright says, I mean, he made Bonanza. That's true. He did. That is very true. So he is not a one-trick pony at all. So, but to answer your question, Derek, yes, should be available to pre-order. If you're not seeing it, definitely ping your sales rep. We can get it put on order for you because it is in the system. I'm actually looking at our internal system right now, and it does show up for it. And Clay, I think the only thing we're missing on our side is just the SKU you want to put to the pre-order bonus for that. So just let me know, and I'll show you an email after this, and we'll circle up and make sure it's on there. But that way, anyone that pre-orders is guaranteed to make sure we get those.
Okay, absolutely. One thing I do want to mention about this is this was kind of marked that transition, like what Scott alluded to, of the design from Uwe Rosenberg going from those Agricolas, Le Havres, those crunchy Euros down to a more streamlined, family-friendly weight game. This isn't, I mean, this is family-friendly, but it's pretty medium weight. I mean, there's still a lot of decision depth here. And I think this is going to be such a good hit because everything that Uwe's released before, like you got Patchwork, a bunch of small games, this is going to be his heaviest game that he's got in recent memory. So that's going to be brought back to the market. So I'm pretty stoked for this one. I think
Derek has a phenomenal question. This is really good. He says, I'm not familiar with Glass Road, so I'm wondering why it was out of print for so long if it is as good as Scott makes it sound. I think I know the answer to that. I'm going to let you take first stab at that one.
Why was it out of print? Well, I know it transitioned from Mayfair to Z-Man, or the other way around. I forget. And then I don't want to bash any other publishers, but like goes right in line with Terra Mystica and Gaia Project. Those games were so hard to get, especially Gaia Project when that came out, that it just wasn't in their it wasn't on top of their mind. And that's what we're doing with Foyerland, is making their games top of mind. They're solid game designs, and we're making them readily available. We're not going to have those stocking issues that you saw in years past.
My 2 cents is that Uwe's success with Patchwork was so much different than his other designs. I think it was very easy to kind of fall towards the let's make simpler games and lower SRP games and push them out from that designer. And there was such a high demand for Patchwork. There still is such a high demand for Patchwork. I mean, it's one of the more staple games in the industry. It's an interesting dichotomy when you think about the guy that made, I always call it Agricola as a private joke. If Zev is watching, he'll get that one. But, Agricola versus, something like Patchwork is so very different. And Glass Road kind of falls in between that, right? It's not as complex as an Agricola is, and it's not quite as simple as a Patchwork is. It's kind of that medium weight, so to speak. So I think it's just a situation of, this came out at a time where it was easy to shift towards a certain direction. That's the way the publisher went. but I think, you know, from my standpoint, I still have this game in my library, which is kind of hard these days. I keep a very tight library of only about 250 games in my collection. So there's a lot of things that come in and go out and come in and go out. But since the release, I've had this one and it's stayed on top, which is really good. So I'm excited, like Clay said, to see these games that are, you know, medium weight strategy games coming back that have a good brand, have a good background, have extremely high ratings on BGG, and like you said, getting the love and the attention that they need.
Yeah. So that's a good question. I mean, definitely valid. So
yep.
Hopefully we answered it. And yeah, that's the end of this. And if y'all have any questions, please let me know. I mean, I'll hang out for a little bit longer, but
yep.
My email is clay@capstone-games.com. Jill, who couldn't be here, was our sales and marketing person. She will be regularly in touch through the distribution channel, working in tandem. So there's some marketing stuff we can do. We would be happy to help out with that.
So Mariangela, who I hope I pronounced that correctly, but Mariangela has a question, says, if I pre-ordered New York Zoo today, do I still get the elephant promo? Pre-order due date was on September. Hope I'm not late to the party. So a couple of things to chat in that. Yes, you can still get it today. That's the easiest way to answer the question. We set those pre-order dates as ways for us to get pre-orders to Clay. That way he has purchase orders, he knows what the demand is and how to allocate the product correctly and everything. But reach out to your sales rep, or if you place an order online, it should still be able to connect to the order today as it's ahead of the release date. So
yeah. Very good.
Awesome. These are good questions. This is phenomenal stuff, actually. I'm really excited to see stuff like that, which is great. So there are no more questions that have come in, but I just want to remind everybody, you don't need to worry about the pre-order SKUs or the product numbers for those pre-orders. Like I mentioned before, we're working with our new ERP system to have them attached to the order for the base game. So as you order them online or whether you order them with your sales rep, those will be attached to your order, which is a really, really nice advantage. And if anyone does have questions, like Clay was saying, you can reach out to him directly. Clay is phenomenal at responding and getting back to people, even before Jill was part of the mix. And now that Jill's part of the mix, it'll probably give him even more time to get involved with stuff. Clay, as a company, does a really, really good job of looking at the environment too. I remember when I stepped into this role, one of the first people I met with was Clay at one of the shows, and we had a conversation. He was like, you know, how can we do more? How can we be better? How can we do better? And I know he didn't ask just me that question. There were several distributor partners that he asked that question, but I think that when you look at the growth of Clay's company from Capstone as a company over the last 2 years, and you look at the changes that he's made trying to make it simple, make it easy, and provide support to the retailers for things that are unique for them, that's all been leading to where we are today, which is a catalog of tremendously good games and more games coming, which is really, really good stuff. So Clay, I really appreciate you taking the time, man. As always, I know you're, you know, kind of crazy dealing with everything from shipping and logistics to manufacturing and everything under the sun. There, kind of the one-man band, so to speak. But
we've got 8 containers on the water right now.
There you go. As long as they're on a boat on the water and not on the water, it's a good thing, right? So give our best to Jill and her cats. We hope that everything is okay there, and then we wish her the best. Retailers, thank you very much for joining as well. Really do appreciate it. Love the questions today. And as always, this will be put up on YouTube. So if you missed anything or you want to go back and check anything out, feel free to do that. Also, feel free to check out those videos like Clay was talking about. Those are great in-store resources and really, really well produced to have for you guys. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me directly. My email is smorris@gtsdistribution.com. But until we see you next time, thank you all so much for being partners and for your support. And we hope you have a great week in your stores. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.